and Matt Freeman for being a great guest from Sport Pembrokeshire. That video up on the Facebook page, so you can watch that back, and you'll be able to listen back to the show as well on the catch-up button at purewestradio.com. And don't forget to keep listening, because we have got details coming very soon about how you could win a cruise for 2 people with Ocky White Travel on Bridge Street, Haverfordwest. Those details are on the way. However, let's get into some of the rugby. Six Nations to come. Local action first, and of course, because of the Six Nations, it does limit the local games, doesn't it? There were only 2, plus a game for the county as well. And in Division 2, Fraser, Tenby will be a bit disappointed. I think they were missing a few players, but they went down by 10 points, didn't they, away to Loughor?
Yeah, missing a few players, but there's no excuse for that. You've got to deal with that in local league, especially at this time, even the Six Nations on and stuff. And yeah, that's a body blow to their title credentials. Really, to go there, they were leading at half time and eventually losing that one. And, you know, St Clair's are actually a long way ahead now, but played so many more games than everyone else. But you'd say they were in the box seat in terms of the catch-up everyone has to play. So it was a disappointing result for Tenby, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was indeed. And there was heartbreak in the game you went to for St Davids, wasn't there? And we had some reaction in the first hour. Haverfordwest 24, St Davids 23. Well, talk us through that.
What a game of local rugby. I have to say that to start with. And for the first 40 minutes, it was as controlled as performance I've seen against the top side I've ever seen from a St David's lineup. It goes as far as that. They were 18-0 up. They had a slight win behind them, but they were in total control. I could not see Haverfordwest coming back. And of course, St David's never beaten Haverfordwest in league game, as Gordon, who usually sits on my left, has reminded me about 937 times. And it looked like this was going to be it. And in the start of the second half, you have to credit Haverfordwest. They didn't panic. You know, they stayed composed and they came out, and St Davids stopped playing for 20 minutes, really, and Haverfordwest really just came at them, and all of a sudden it was turned around at 24-18. And then frustratingly for us lot in the stands, obviously, you know, I'm neutral, but frustratingly, if you were supporting St Davids, they then came out again at 24-18 and threw caution to the wind again. And George Raymond went over in the corner, his second try. They were breaking tackles, and we really did have a thrilling finish. And in the end, Haverfordwest would be mighty relieved to have come out with a bonus point win. It keeps their own title hopes alive, but they play Abereyron next week. Now Abereyron atop, Haverfordwest second. After that, I believe Haverfordwest's next game is Larne, who are also in the title race. So look, a great game on Saturday, but Haverfordwest levels are going to have to go up if they're going to beat Abereyron and Larne and win that title. There's no doubt about that. And as for St Davids, another vastly improved display. They play Pembroke at home this Saturday. I'd expect them to win that, but it has to go down as a big opportunity missed to make a bit of history for them. There's no escaping that.
Yeah, match reports on both those games are on pembrokeshiresport.co.uk, by the way. The Valero Diamond Jubilee charity match as well. Neyland almost beat Pembrokeshire, didn't they? Finished 31-28 to the county side, but that was quite close.
Yeah, Will Hughes back actually for Neyland, a bit of a nomad who's gone on to play at a high level rugby. We saw him come through as a very good young player, and I was shocked when I heard the news came through to me that Neyland were leading. I have to be honest about that. But I did see he also had a try hat trick, I believe, so it had something to do with it. But no, good to see. There's a little bit of jeopardy around the county side in the end, because it seemed like Milford were going to play Langham in the Pembrokeshire plate, which took away a number of players initially named. That game was then called off. A couple of Milford boys came back into the side at the last minute, and of course you had Tenby, St Davids and Haverfordwest all playing anyway, so that ruled out representation from 3 sides. But good that they got a good squad out, and good that we had a competitive match as well, because I think the last couple have been quite one-sided compared to the first one, and that's what you want. You know, you want people who play for the county and fighting for wins. You know, you want to see a Pembrokeshire side that they're proud to represent and want competing, and fair play to Neyland on a good occasion and a game, and most importantly, of course, a big amount of race of charity. We're still waiting the amount raised from Gareth Skurfield on that, the final amount, and we'll announce that on the show when it comes through, hopefully by next week. But well done to him again, organised a good event.
And we'll follow the county side. I'm sure there'll be some more fixtures to come as well. So on to the Six Nations. We'll start at Twickenham, I think. I was in Cardiff to watch it. I did think at half-time I was going to be in Cardiff to watch England get beaten, actually, because I thought Wales were probably the better side in that first half. Did miss an opportunity when England went down to 13. What were the thoughts from you two as that game went on? It wasn't a classic, was it? It was nail-biting, but it wasn't a classic.
It was frustrating, particularly the first. It was very stop-start. 2 inexperienced teams just trying whatever they'd been told, and I don't feel that there was any rhythm to any of their passage of play in that first half. Really frustrating, and to get 2 yellows and not be able to capitalise on that and actually concede points is that should have. Well, you should be turning over multiple scores in that regard.
Yeah.
And then to let like Ben Hill, he's very physical, he's very athletic. If you can't take him down in 10 meters with 5 players, then you're doing something wrong on the fringes of the maul as well, of the scrum.
Warren Gatland's calling for some patience, isn't he? And there are some signs from the young Wales side there. But Fraser, is Tom right that there is some naivety which definitely crept in at times?
Well, it's going to be first year. I'm going to offer a more positive view than Tom, which I don't think has ever happened on the show. Yeah, no, look. I've actually been encouraged. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, to still be learned in terms of game management. And Tom's just touched on it then. You know, we're that an experienced side playing for a Grand Slam and conceded when 7-0 up against 13 men trying to run the ball from behind their own post, and quite frankly, I would have left them to walk home from London, you know, let alone get on a bus. But in the situation that Wales have had, the turmoil of the last 12 months for various reasons off the field, there is a lot of promise coming through from youngsters there. There is a lot of naivety, you're right. And if you look at the 2 games, as I've just touched upon, the game management has been poor, and that has to improve, and that will come with experience. But I'm talking about people, if we're talking about 4-year World Cup cycles, if we're talking about a new era, if we're talking about rebuilding, you've got like Tommy Reffel, Alex Mann, youngsters in the back row, superb. Youngsters in the back line who are being bled. You know, Thomas Williams, thank God, started this game as opposed to Gareth Davis. It was a senseless decision against Scotland for me. Other way around this time in Twickenham, and it paid dividends with the role certainly Williams played in the first try and his general play as well. Second try, and his general play as well. I think there's a lot to be encouraged by, and you know, I'm not yet, but maybe prepared to be stand corrected. I didn't think that Warren Gatland was a rebuild coach, an elite coach when he's got a good squad of players, certainly the right man in the Wales role for a number of years. I didn't think he was the right man this time around. The jury's still out on that. I do believe that. But he is showing signs that he's blooding a team for the future here. And I think, you know, rather than be too cynical and look at the finer points of the first 2 games, you can say that there's something building there. And it's a young team. And the team at the time is playing quite well.
How can the jury be out on Warren Gatland, though, Fraser?
Yeah, you know, I get a heart back to the board. There's always going to be a jury out, Ben, and it is a serious point because the financial dire straits the WRU in and the huge salary he's commanded to come back. Yeah. So the jury's always going to be out, I'm afraid. In terms of coaching credentials, you're absolutely right. I mean, I do think I thought when we go back to that Lions tour, which took place in COVID, which was strange for so many reasons, I thought we were seeing a coach that was outdated with the tactics he tried to use to beat South Africa. I will say since then he seems to have adapted, and he certainly seems to be prepared to adapt in terms of his selection and his ethos anyway for this Six Nations campaign, which is the right way to go.
It's Ireland away next, chaps. They steamrolled at Italy, who only lost by 3 points to England the week before, which I think offers some perspective. That's going to be tough. Can anyone stop Ireland? At the moment, they look like they're going to cruise to this Grand Slam, don't they?
Yeah, so we'll skip to after Ireland.
Then the rebuild can continue.
The last 2 games are opportunity for which. No, you're right. They're mechanical monsters. They are so ruthlessly efficient. There's no weaknesses there. I can't see them foreseeably being stopped now for this Grand Slam. It will be back-to-back Grand Slams for the first time in the Six Nations era.
Yeah, I can't see anyone stopping them. Tom, I think you tipped them, didn't you, at the start?
I did, and you weren't here last week when I said that Ireland would be arrogant enough to go away to Paris and do it, and they did. So I just want to throw that out there.
I was in France when that happened as well, and honestly, we walked past bars and just gobsmacked Parisians, couldn't understand what was going on.
This isn't in the script. For some reason, I'm thinking that as much as they keep falling short, and I'm sure we're going to touch on it in the last couple of moments now, I think if there is an upset for Ireland, I genuinely think it'll come from Scotland.
And Scotland, I think, should arguably beat France on Saturday. That for me was a try right at the end. And it took a long time for the TMO to rule. And, you know, it was quite interesting, actually, because we have all the discussion about VAR in football, and we always make the comparison to rugby, don't we, and say how good it is in rugby. And I got the feeling they would really wanted to award Scotland that try, but they just could not get a TV angle that showed the ball going down and touching the grass. But I think you make a fair point, Tom. Happy to say Scotland were robbed, I thought, on Saturday.
Potentially, but I think it's glossed over. It's glossed over a much bigger picture. I'm going to go back to being more negative than Tom now. I've had my little ray of sunshine moment. You know, but it's completely overshadowed what is the biggest picture here, Tom and Ben. is that Scotland once again were in a winning position and came up short, and it's another tale under Gregor Townsend, and we're not denying they've made progress in the time they have, but it's another tale of so near but not so far. They were 16-10 up and in control of the contest, and they blew a winning position. They were fortunate to get that turnover at the end, actually, France messing about in their own 22 as well, to get that chance to score a winning try. But the fact is, they let it slip when they should have been putting the game to bed. So, look, you couldn't argue misfortune at the end, and I, like you, I believe they were very unlucky, but that doesn't gloss over the fact that they threw away another lead, and until they stop doing that, they're not going to be a feature in championship wins. But, you're right, Ireland will be wary of them, but that's twice now. Twice in Cardiff, they nearly capitulated from 28.
True.
And against France, they threw a winning position. They're not there yet by any means.
It's Scotland-England, 4:45 Murrayfield, Saturday 24th of Feb. Ireland-Wales, 2:15 on the Saturday afternoon. It could be a long one, that one, but you never know. I think Gatland is saying we need to be patient. We've got a young side, and sometimes that naivety is a good thing when you go to tough places, because they're not going to be scared. They're just going to have a go, aren't they, and see what happens. And it would be funny if France were to slip up against Italy on the Sunday. I don't think that's going to happen, is it?
I mean, it's a serious point. The Italy side can play. It's still the same old Italy. They'll give you a game for 60 minutes and then fall away at it. But as opposed to keeping you in a mud fight, they're actually doing it by playing enterprising rugby. This Italy side can play, and it's a measure of how good Ireland are that they nilled them and stopped them playing. They weren't under any kind of threat. So they'll cause France problems, and they'll cause Wales more problems. We will go to death or glory against Italy and Cardiff. That's a prediction for you.
Naughty's Wales all over again.
Well, England nearly lost, didn't we, in Italy? So it's tricky. I do think no one's going to stop Ireland. I think, Tom, you're going to come top of the prediction league again, and you've got a good record, haven't you? So excellent stuff. I think we need to go, don't we? Because I think KT is standing by to take over for the Mood Train. We'll be back next Monday from 7 on Pure West Radio. KT's next. Good night.
Good night, guys.